The importance of managing expectations. I'm Dr. Michael McCrimmon, CEO and Managing Partner of M2 Leadership Institute. In this video, we discuss the importance of managing expectations. Expectations are more important than one might think on the surface because when left unmanaged, they can often lead to mistrust and conflict. Let's get started. To best illustrate the importance of managing expectations, let's use the example of buying a car to help us understand the salient points. Buying a car is a fairly universal experience, and at some point in time, everyone has either purchased one, leased one, or been with somebody who did. For our example, let's make the assumption that one party is looking to buy a car and the other party is looking to sell a car. The buyer wants the most car for as little money as possible, while the seller wants to sell a car for as high a price as possible. Note, many organizations' intersection point is a place where goals and objectives often conflict, if not directly collide head-on with each other. The buyer and seller agree to sit down and discuss the requirements for the vehicle to be purchased. Here's what they agree to. The car should have the following: 4 wheels with brakes, steering wheel, leather seats, custom paint job, high performance rims. So far, so good. The two parties agree on a price of $25,000, and with that, the contract was signed and payment in full was made. If you haven't been paying close attention or you're losing interest, pay attention here, because what you're about to see happen occurs every day somewhere in the world, and usually the stakes are much higher and the dollar amounts in the millions/billions. This is the mental picture of what the buyer was expecting to receive for $25,000, a new Bentley. Now, before you label the buyer ridiculous and unreasonable, the car pictured meets all of the criteria that were mutually agreed to during the buying process. And you can't fault the buyer for wanting the maximum for the minimum price. A new Bentley for $25,000 is a great deal with huge value. However, there is a bit of a problem. The problem is the seller had a different vision of what was being sold to the buyer. Here's what the seller had in mind for this transaction. Now, while you continue to laugh out loud, let me assure you that this is not an unbelievable occurrence, nor is it as ludicrous as it may seem on the surface. When in doubt, go to the contract. The car pictured meets all of the expectations of the buyer. Not only does this car meet the contractual criteria, but at a purchase price of $25,000, it generates a tremendous profit, which to the seller is value. Now, would you be surprised if I told you that this deal didn't work out well for either party and resulted in huge litigation costs, opportunity loss costs, poor customer satisfaction, and no repeat business, just to name a few? No, you wouldn't be surprised. I've used this example numerous times over my career, and depending on which side of the fence you live on, buyer or seller, you have a fairly locked-in view of who was right and who was wrong. However, we can all agree that when we look at our criteria list, none of the items were omitted, though how they were presented in reality was certainly different. After years of doing relationship alignment type work, I can make a statement that proves to be accurate 99% of the time. That statement is, never assume malice when ignorance remains a possibility. This is another way of saying that one should not always come to the conclusion that someone was out to get the best of them. Sometimes both parties are simply not on the same page, often based on one's existing paradigms or biases. Facing a difficult, seemingly unsolvable conflict or struggle, maybe all you need is some mediation around expectations and relationship alignment. Remember, our goal at the M2 Leadership Institute is to take your best and make it better. Thanks for watching.